The Good Dinosaur, 2015. It had a budget of around $200 million and it grossed over $333 million worldwide. Its possible losses are around $85 million or more. So The Good Dinosaur is infamous for being Pixar's first outright bomb. The concept was exciting. What if dinosaurs never went extinct and evolved alongside humans? This sounded like a Jurassic Park plot. The early pitch sounded like a classic Pixar what-if world, but after years of delays, director changes, and rewrites, the final product felt painfully watered down. Instead of a rich dinosaur society with technology and culture, we got a story about one timid dinosaur. Arlo. Sounds like Elio, but we'll get to that later. And a human child who basically acts like a dog. The lush, photorealistic backdrops looked incredible, but they clashed with the cartoony character models. Critics called it Pixar's weakest world building to date, especially compared to the brilliant internal logic of Monsters, Inc., Inside Out, or Coco. Financially, it came out just months after Inside Out, which was a critical and commercial smash. So audiences inevitably compared the two, cementing itself as Pixar's first major theatrical flop.
I'm gonna love ending you!
Onward, 2020. It had a budget of $175 million and it grossed over $142 million worldwide. So its possible losses are around $100 million or more. Onward was unlucky to release right before the pandemic, but blaming COVID doesn't tell the full story. Even before theaters closed, the film's buzz was underwhelming. The trailers failed to make it look like a Pixar event. Audiences said it looked like a DreamWorks knockoff rather than the studio that gave us Up or Toy Story. So the premise: two brothers in a modern-day fantasy world searching for a spell to bring back their dad. It had potential, but the execution was lazy. Why do pixies need to ride one oversized motorcycle instead of having tiny ones? Why are human-sized doors everywhere if the world has little creatures? Pixar usually nails these details. Just look at how perfectly Monsters, Inc. designed its world. Tom Holland and Chris Pratt voiced the leads, but even their Marvel star power couldn't save it. Reviews were okay, but audiences found it forgettable. Even without COVID, this likely would have been a weak performer. So instead, it became Pixar's most obvious victim of poor marketing and uninspired world building.
Whatever falls in there, falls forever.
Oh, Dad, come here.
Soul, 2020. It had a budget of $150 million and it grossed over $120 million worldwide. It could have lost around $30 to $50 million. Soul is one of Pixar's most acclaimed films. It won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature and was praised for its depth, its jazz-inspired visuals, and its exploration of life's meaning. But financially, it struggled. Disney chose to release it primarily on Disney Plus during the pandemic, with only a limited theatrical run. That immediately erased hundreds of millions of potential box office dollars. What's even worse is that Pixar fans started associating the studio with free streaming content instead of big screen events. That shift hurt the brand long term, even up to now. Another issue was the movie's tone. Soul is philosophical, quiet, and geared more toward adults than kids. Families didn't feel the need to rewatch it, unlike the endlessly rewatchable Toy Story or Finding Nemo. So critics adored it, but younger audiences barely connected. Many called it a masterpiece, but they just didn't buy the tickets.
Get ready, Joe Gardner. Your life is about to start.
Luca, 2021. It had a budget of $150 million and it grossed over $49 million worldwide. So possible losses around $80 to $100 million. Because again, Luca is another Pixar movie that audiences never really got a chance to see in the theaters. Disney sent it straight to streaming in most markets, despite critics calling it a warm, Studio Ghibli-style coming-of-age tale. The film was praised for its charm and visuals, but critics noted it felt small compared to other Pixar spectacles. There were no groundbreaking worlds or mind-bending concepts, just a simple friendship story about two sea monsters in Italy. But in terms of marketability, it meant fewer kids begged their parents to go watch it. Compounding the issue, Disney's own Encanto stole the cultural spotlight later that same year. Luca was nominated for an Oscar but didn't win. Financially, it was doomed by Disney Plus distribution strategy. For others, they called it being greedy.
You live up here?
Yeah, me and my dad. He's not even here a whole lot, so I pretty much just do whatever I want.
Isn't it dangerous?
Yeah, it's the best. Everything good is above the surface.
Turning Red, 2022. It had a budget of $175 million and it grossed over $20 million worldwide. Possible losses is around $150 million or more because Turning Red was one of Pixar's boldest swings. It tackled puberty, cultural identity, and mother-daughter relationships in a way few animated films have ever dared. But instead of celebrating it as a big screen event, Disney again shipped it straight to streaming. Yes, they did it again. That decision alienated Pixar employees, many of whom publicly voiced frustration at seeing 3 Pixar films in a row bypass theaters. Financially, it meant another 9-figure loss. The film itself divided audiences. Some praised it for being fresh and authentic, others thought it leaned too heavily into loud, cringy humor and childlike tone. Parents also clashed over its themes, with some upset it mentioned menstruation and rebellion against parents.
I'm going to the concert!
Get back here! How could she do this to her own mother?
Subjects they didn't want in a Disney film. Had it gone to theaters, Turning Red could have sparked conversations and still made decent money. But instead it became another casualty of Disney's mismanagement of Pixar releases. Speaking of disasters, Lightyear. 2022. It had a budget of over $200 million and it grossed over $226 million worldwide. Possible losses are around $100 million or more. Because this one shocked the industry. How could the spin-off of Toy Story, Pixar's crown jewel, flop? The answer was simple. Massive brand confusion. Audiences didn't understand what the movie was. Was it Buzz Lightyear's origin story? Was it the real version of the toy? Marketing never clarified. Then came the controversies. Backlash over same-sex kiss, debates about whether Chris Evans replacing Tim Allen was the right call, and reviews that said the movie was just fine. To make things worse, it opened against Jurassic World Dominion and was quickly overshadowed by Top Gun Maverick. Families had no urgency to see Lightyear when it would inevitably drop on guess what? Disney Plus. So despite Pixar's hopes, nostalgia for Buzz wasn't enough, proving Pixar could no longer rely on its golden brand name alone. Elemental. 2023. It had a budget of $200 million and it grossed over $495 million worldwide. But its estimated loss is around $50 to $100 million. Elemental had one of Pixar's worst opening weekends ever. Critics were lukewarm. Audiences weren't sure what it was about, and competition was brutal. It released the same weekend as The Flash, and during a crowded summer packed with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, The Little Mermaid, Transformers, and Fast X. That's a lot of movies. Its premise, a fire girl and water boy falling in love, sounded more like a high-concept indie rom-com than a must-see Pixar blockbuster. Early reviews out of Cannes called it one of Pixar's worst. Though later critics were kinder, still, the mixed word of mouth meant most families skipped it. To its credit, Elemental slowly found an audience internationally. But domestically, it never escaped flop status. Pixar had hoped this would be their rebound movie. Instead, it underscored how fragile the studio's brand had become.
Sorry.
That was incredible!
It's just melted glass.
Just melted glass. Every building in the new city is built from just melted glass. Oh no, you have to do something with that talent.
Elio. 2025. Its budget is around $200 million and it grossed over $400 million worldwide. Its possible losses are around $60 to $100 million because Elio was supposed to be Pixar's big return to original storytelling. It tells the story of a lonely boy mistakenly chosen to represent Earth in an intergalactic society. Critics praised its heartfelt exploration of belonging and loneliness, but when it came to selling tickets, the film was in trouble from the start. The title Elio confused audiences. Unlike Inside Out or Toy Story, it gave no clue about what the movie was about. Marketing was weak, and the premise, kid goes to space, meet aliens, felt too similar to Disney's own Strange World, which had bombed just years earlier. What's even worse, it released into a market dominated by animated sequels like Inside Out 2 and Moana 2. In today's climate, Pixar originals don't have the same pull they once did. By the time families considered it, most decided to just wait for it in guess what? Disney Plus. Sadly, Elio joins the growing list of Pixar movies that financially flopped. That's 9 minutes. Thank you for watching. Like the video and don't forget to subscribe for more flops.